What you're hearing now is my recording from this very portable cassette recorder, the RadioShack CTR-122, using one of my high-disc 90-minute cassette tapes. This was my Otaka tape which I featured before, which I had to overwrite for the meantime. This will be my presentation with my voiceover entirely recorded onto this cassette recorder, just like the last time I did. About this one, November or December last year from the same place, I bought my Walkman for a much lower price of 50 pesos, which is roughly $1. Most of my Walkman I buy there usually costs 100 pesos, and if it is half the price, I notice most of them had either faulty circuits or broken gear. To my surprise, everything is all intact. Well, except for the housing. To open this one, simply open the 4 screws in the back and 2 in the circuit board. Soldering the wires out is advisable for easy access to the board and the mechanism. The flywheel belt might be a bit stretched but was still in good condition until just recently, so I replaced it right before recording. There's also a belt for the counter which was broken when I first bought it, so I did take some extra belts and put another to the counter. Nothing much special on the board, except for the belt guide, something notable brands like Sony would do, as well as this little transformer, which I think is that this uses AC bias for recording, but uses a permanent magnet to raise the tape, which most cheapo boom boxes would usually utilize. The housing of this cassette recorder is a bit of a hell. Well, disassembling the mechanism, the sides of this case crumbled. I had put some super glue on the cracked parts, but some parts kept chipping off. Worst thing is, the part where the record tab attaches to also crumbled, so I also got rid of that tab altogether, leaving me with the risk of accidental over-recording if I left the tape and the batteries in the unit. But I guess playback is an option in my case, as I only need recording functionality anyway, because I can buy another Walkman for my playback. Only time will tell when they will have a new old stock of second-hand retro gadgets. Reassembly is quite relatively easy as disassembly, just making sure that the necessary bits and pieces are in place. And here's a more interesting thing. For half the price of how much I buy things like this, everything from the speakers to the built-in microphone is working. And the fact that it also has a counter, which is very useful despite the shoddy fragile casing. For less than $1, I've got the best and the worst of worlds. Here I'll pause as I switch from a PC hookup to the built-in speakers. Now you're listening to its built-in speakers. Although it is working, it sounds distorted if I play too loud. Still, this is useful for reviewing your record. I'll now go back to the hookup. So, okay, so I noticed that the first time I played a tape in this unit, it sounded very slow despite setting the switch in normal place. For that to be adjusted, the speed adjustment trimmer is just in the back of the side of the board, but there's a through hole in the printed side of the board, as well as the hole in the casing too, which you can use to adjust the speed of the tape without removing anything. Also, there's a hole in the tape door just near the tape head. This is for adjusting the azimuth alignment, which I believe is already okay. I like these features actually. I should also note that the speed adjustment switch, which has slow, normal, and fast, only affects playback, which means recording will always be in normal mode regardless of the speed setting. You can manually adjust the normal speed with the trimmer if you want to record an extended play, but I don't think it's necessary at this point. Also at the back are two other switches, the VOX or Vox slash tone switch and mic sensitivity. The first switch has dual functions. For recording, this will act as the Vox switch. That is, unless you speak or this detects any sound, this will not record. For playback, this will act as a tone switch. Low will sound bassy and is limited to around 3 kHz, whereas high setting will sound a bit sharper, but is still limited to around 5 to 6 kHz. I tried looking for its frequency response rate, but nowhere I can see it in the manual, so I manually checked it using Tenacity, a fork of Audacity by the way, by using the spectrogram setting. The second switch, the microphone sensitivity, is also useful for recording, especially if the Vox switch is turned on. Low, medium, high, well, self-explanatory, but still useful in the following settings. Low if you are in a quiet room and or you want to eliminate nearby noises, and high if you are in a very crowded place, like during concerts. Right now, I'm recording in Vox mode turned on and in low microphone sensitivity to eliminate other noises like from my fan. Now, aside from its built-in microphone, it also has an input for external microphone, which is very useful. It also has a remote plug, which on the manual says it's for the microphone with remote switch, but I have yet to find one. I saw one from certain video, to be precise from V Westlife. I saw him using a RadioShack microphone with a remote jack. Link in the description if I have to post it. I also believe that this is something to do if, say for instance, but I'm not sure of this, you want to like record computer data or programs, which is common back in the 70s and 80s, like, Commodore 64 computers. But because this cassette recorder is from the 2000s as per manual, where cassettes are pronounced dead by that time, that would not make any sense. Oh, its volume control also serves as Vox Sense or volume sensitivity control for Vox recording settings, which is already on top of microphone sensitivity setting. Here's another thing. Its earphone output only outputs on the left channel, which is the tip of the 3.5mm plug, meaning to hear it in normal earphones, you would have to have a TS to TRS converter. Also, because this has an external microphone jack, I can also record sound to it, although it would be in mono as both the mic jack and the tape head are in mono. But the manual says it's perfectly okay to record music, which I'll play in a bit. Now, to demonstrate this speed switch, I'll play a very familiar song that I'm sure you've heard in your childhood.
If you're ever down in Texas, look me up, look me up. If you're ever down in Texas, look me up. Where the men are men and love it, and the gals are sure glad of it. So if you're ever down in Texas, look me up.
Ask anyone for Rusty, everybody knows of me. They'll tell you where I'm riding at bar A, B, C, or D. So if you ever down in Texas, look me up, look me up. We've got everything in Texas looking up.
With the moonlight on the prairie and a gal that ain't contrary.
There's a lot of fun in Texas, look me up.
Ask anyone for Phil C, they'll tell you where I'm at. You'll find me down in Galveston with a box-back coat and a Stetson.
And that was If You're Ever Down in Texas, Look Me Up by Phil Harris. Yes, that was the song that was used in Tom and Jerry. So when I said childhood, Yep, it can hit from generation boomers to generation Z, like me. Because yeah, I grew up with Tom and Jerry. That was my favorite cartoon since childhood. Anyway, though, uh, I'll play some more tapes to test, just to test things. Some of my random cassette collections, which I did before. What up, y'all?
Chicago. Sa pagkaalam po ng NBI, kilala po ba ni Miss Alice si Attorney Galicia?
Mayroon pong interview na tinanong siya at sumagot siya na kakilala niya.
Okay, salamat Director Santiago. So hindi lang po ako ang nagsasabi from our NBI resource person, no less the Director. Meron kayong interview, sinabi nyo, kilala nyo si Attorney Galicia.
Madam Chair, wala po ako interview po about it po.
Okay, Attorney Galicia, any comment? Doon sa interview na nasubaybayan ng NBI, sinabi doon ni Miss Alice na kilala ka niya. Any comment po ba doon?
Madam,
Yung mic nyo, Attorney.
ito po. Madam, allow me, Your Honor, to claim the confidentiality of the executive session.
Ang executive session po, gaya ng sinabi na kanina, ay may kinalaman sa national security and public safety. Yung usapin ba na kung kilala kayo o hindi ni Mayor Alice, wala pong kinalaman doon sa pagkaalam ko. Attorney, I really hate to do this to you, pero it's clear, at least to our committee, na you notarized the affidavit of an affiant who was not within the jurisdiction of the Philippines. At kung hindi mo sasabihin ang buong katotohanan and explain yourself, I'm sorry, pero nagmumukhang you will be left holding the bag. You will be left holding the bag, Attorney Galicia.
sa Signal Channel 19. This is radio station DWLA-FM, operating on frequency 105.9 megahertz, transmitting with a power of 20,000 watts, with studios located at Southland Estates, BF Homes, Las Piñas City, and the transmitter tower situated at Nuestra Señora de la Paz, Santa Cruz, Antipolo City, Philippines. DWLA-FM is owned and operated by Brightstar Broadcasting Network Corporation, with the following broadcast electronics and communications engineers, duly licensed by the National Telecommunications Commission. Melanio Esdones, with NTC license number 97-1PV20344. Reynaldo C. Santos Jr., with NTC license number 14-1PNCR-26667. And Alan P. Bustamante, with NTC license number 2K-1PHN-24088. This is DWLA-FM. Now signing off.
After an intense and exciting selection process and a fantastic display of dancing prowess, here comes the group of finalists: Wild Sing, Covenant Dancer, Magnanimous, Renegade Squad, COV, Nexus 14, Fifth Level, and Screw Guys, as they fight it out for the final showdown, the Bicol Regional Disco Dance Showdown, October 22, Friday, 3 p.m. at Quezon Avenue, Legazpi City.
The Bicol Regional Disco Dance Showdown Year 12 is presented in cooperation with Smart IDD, Sunsilk Shampoo. Say goodbye to buwaghag nightmares with new Sunsilk Relax and Control. Loviscol, tigil ang ubo ng pamilya. Jolly Tuna, Nescafe Classic, Confident Napkin. Domex, ang killer ng mga killer virus. Jollibee Lanco, Jollibee Rizal, Jollibee LCC, STI, and LCC Mall. Also brought to you by La Bamba Laundry and Services, Ibalon Educational Supply, Pink Apple, Aquasense, AI Gaming Zone, Imperial Homes Corporation, Chicken Sombrero Bar and Restaurant, Wise Enterprises, Hotel Villa Angelina, Kagawad Seloy Chan, the City Government of Legazpi, Vice Mayor Jess Rico Salazar, and the Sangguniang Panglungsod ng Legazpi.
Jasmine Trias para sa Smart IDD.
Kailangan ko ikaw dito sa piling ko.
Kailangan ko ng kumita ng malaki at magtipon. Kailangan kong isipin ang kinabukasan ng lumalaki kong pamilya eh. Kaya kailangan talaga magsabi. Tiising malayo muna sa kanila. Ay, kailan kaya sila tatawag?
Kailangan ko ikaw.
Smart IDD. Kailangan ng mga Pinoy abroad ang tawag nyo.
Dito kami kasama sa Sandara Park para tanungin siya kung ano ang mga in or out sa buhay niya. Sandara, sa pagkain, ano ang in or out mo?
Out na out ang adobong daga at cricket. Yuck! In na in ang sinigang at fried chicken.
Sa mga boys kaya?
Out ang flirty chick boy at feeling crush ng bayan. Definitely in ang cutie, nice at lalaking lalaki.
Sa feminine napkins?
Super in sa akin ang confident, active, feminine napkins. It's so slim and soft yet I feel so dry all day. Plus, I depend on confident, active, next to nothing panty liners for my everyday use. Kaya kayo, be alive, be active. Use confident napkins and panty liners para in kayo. Available nationwide sa inyong suking tindahan.
And now I'm using the built-in microphone for this recording, and I'll be using this for quite some time because I like this unit so much. Maybe I will be using this for quite some time until I exhaust this cassette recorder for good, just like my Sony TCM-150, which I unfortunately disposed. For now, for the final part, I will be playing some more recordings using this cassette recorder, and that I recorded on this side and the flip side of this cassette tape. And maybe, just maybe after this, I might be restoring my recorders, but this time I'll be using this unit because I think it's much better than my previous cassette recorder. Until then, this is Turnaround Haze. Do what is right and just. And thank you very much.
Our sacred harp.
Now it's back to Newsday. This is the BBC World Service, the world's radio station.
Hello and welcome to Newsday on the BBC World Service. Today it's Lakwesa Burek and Rob Young with you.
Coming up, we'll report from inside Myanmar with evidence that its military rulers are breaking a ceasefire announced after last month's devastating earthquake.
They said they want a ceasefire, but they continued attacks by using all means. Not only soldiers on the ground, but with drones and fighters too.
We're also going to bring you reactions from Myanmar's National Unity Government that are in exile on what they make of the whole situation.
Also, tensions between India and Pakistan worsen after gunmen killed 26 civilians in Indian-administered Kashmir last week. We'll hear from Pakistan and speak to one of the politicians there.
And in sport, Liverpool's long-awaited win at the Premier League was delivered this weekend. That's all coming up after the latest world news.
Hello, I'm David Harper with the BBC News. North Korea has admitted for the first time that it deployed troops to fight for Russia in the war with Ukraine. State media in Pyongyang said the soldiers were sent to repel Ukraine's cross-border attack into Russia's Kursk region, which began last year. Jean McKenzie reports from neighbouring South Korea.
Until now, both Moscow and Pyongyang have been silent about their cooperation on the battlefield in Kursk. This is despite multiple intelligence reports from the US and Ukraine that more than 10,000 North Korean soldiers have been deployed there. But today's announcement from Pyongyang couldn't be more public. In an article on the front page of its state newspaper, Kim Jong-un praises his troops for their heroism in pushing back Ukrainian forces. The US has said that North Korea must now bear responsibility for perpetuating the war, while Pyongyang says it will support the Russian army again in the future.
Donald Trump has said he thinks Ukraine's leader is willing to give up Crimea in return for peace with Russia. Volodymyr Zelensky has repeatedly said he can't accept US recognition of Moscow's control over the peninsula, which was illegally annexed 11 years ago. Mr. Trump also made a plea to Vladimir Putin, telling him to stop shooting and make a deal. Canadian police have charged the man accused of carrying out Saturday's car ramming attack at a street festival in Vancouver with 8 counts of murder. Further charges are expected. Police say Kai G. Adam Lowe, who's 30, had a history of mental health problems. 11 people were killed, including a 5-year-old child. RJ Aquino was one of the festival organisers.
It was chaos. It's a family-friendly event. It was a beautiful sunny day. Families were out and about. There were thousands of people that came out to celebrate Lapu Lapu Day here. And yeah, excuse me, it's terrible.
The International Court of Justice in The Hague will begin public hearings today to examine Israel's legal obligations to provide humanitarian aid to Palestinians in Gaza and the occupied West Bank. Almost 40 countries will be involved. Last year, Israel in effect banned the UN Agency for Palestinian Refugees from operating in Gaza. From The Hague, here's Anna Holligan.
The hearings will examine whether Israel acted unlawfully in restricting United Nations operations by overriding the immunities granted to UN bodies. The 5 days of legal presentations at the International Court of Justice have a heightened sense of urgency after Israel's decision last month to halt all humanitarian supplies into Gaza. Recently, there have been warnings of severe food shortages and famine. The ICJ has been asked to give an advisory opinion, a non-binding but legally definitive answer. That is expected to take several months.
World News from the BBC. Reports from Gaza say that at least 9 Palestinians have been killed in Israeli airstrikes in the north of the Strip. Eyewitnesses said 7 Palestinians were killed in northwestern Gaza City and at least 2 died in the Jabalia refugee camp. A month after the powerful earthquake which struck Myanmar and Thailand, the UN is warning that millions of people are still not getting the help they need. Around 3,800 people were confirmed killed in Myanmar, with another 63 in Bangkok when a tower block collapsed. Jonathan Head reports from Bangkok.
Workers at the site of the 30-storey building which collapsed during the earthquake in Bangkok expect to reach the ground floor today, where the bodies of more than 30 missing workers are thought to be. The government has promised a thorough inquiry into why it collapsed in a matter of seconds when every other tall building in the city withstood the tremor. Opposition politicians have accused the construction company of using substandard steel and other irregularities. Closer to the epicenter in Myanmar, the humanitarian needs are still immense, compounded by the impact of a 4-year-long civil war.
A BBC investigation has identified members of the Kenyan security forces who fatally shot protesters in Nairobi last June. Demonstrations against a proposed government finance bill spiralled out of control when thousands of young people flocked to Parliament before a final vote was due to take place. 23 people are reported to have been shot dead by the security forces. 10 people will go on trial in Paris today, accused of stealing $10 million worth of jewellery from Kim Kardashian. The American reality star was the victim of a violent hold-up at a luxury hotel in the city 9 years ago. 2 men, masked and in police uniforms, broke into her room, tied her up and made off with an engagement ring, along with other jewels. And that's the latest BBC News.
Estaban ya en Roma para el funeral del Papa, según cifras oficiales. No sabemos cuántos eran electores, así que no está claro si han llegado suficientes para poner en marcha el cónclave. Este domingo el cardenal Parolin, favorito entre los papables, defendía el legado de Francisco ante 200.000 personas en una misa en la plaza de San Pedro.
La sua eredità dobbiamo accoglierla.
Debemos acoger su herencia y hacerla vida, decía Parolin. Pero cada uno tiene su propia interpretación de lo que ese legado significa, como el cardenal Schönborn hablaba tras la visita a la tumba del Papa de un centenar de cardenales. Lo que ha conseguido, decía, es mostrarnos que somos todos hijos de Dios. Entre tanto, durante el domingo se acercaron a Santa María la Mayor decenas de miles de personas para ver por primera vez la tumba del Papa. Algunos tuvieron que esperar hasta 2 horas.
Gracias, Jordi Barcia. Pero sobrevuela sobre el Vaticano también la fotografía, la imagen que dio mucho que hablar y sigue dando que hablar hoy, 48 horas después. Sentados cara a cara en 2 simples sillas a pocos metros de distancia del ataúd del Papa Francisco, Trump y Zelensky parecían confesarse. Ahora el presidente de los Estados Unidos critica a Putin y confía en que Ucrania ceda la península de Crimea a cambio de paz. Además, la Casa Blanca presiona a ambas partes para que lleguen a un acuerdo pronto. Si no hay avances, esta semana podría abandonar su papel como mediador. Todo eso y mucho más lo ha dicho Donald Trump justo de regreso a Washington a bordo de...